Football with the fellas. It's all about Big Blue. So, still on vacation, still in like low res, poorly lit uh, external studio. So, bear with me. My apologies. But I have got a few thoughts I want to share. I'd like to talk a little bit about the off season since we are very, very close to the off season. We're like literally less than a week away from Black Monday when I'm hoping that Joe Schoen gets fired. I mean, I hate to see anyone lose their job, but he's doing his job badly, and we need someone that can do this job well. So I'm looking for a new GM as my late Christmas present. What I'd love to share with that new GM is my plan, what I think we should be doing this offseason with regard to free agency. You know, Mezo and I are going to talk a lot about a lot of different aspects of the offseason, but here is my big blueprint for some 2026 free agency thoughts, what I think we should do. So first and foremost, let's take a quick look and shout out to overthecap.com for all the data and graphics. The information is due to their expertise. The poorly presented graphics is because of my lack of expertise. So I'm not blaming them for how crooked this looks, et cetera. But what you can see is that right now we're listed as having just under $17.5 million in cap space for 2026. That to some people sounds like a lot. It's not, but that's what it is. That's where we're starting from. The effective cap space, which means if we now take out what the draft picks would cost us, and this is if the draft was today and we had the second overall pick and we didn't do any trades and just kept exactly the 7 picks that we have, the net cap space after those 7 draft picks would be roughly $11.375 million, meaning that, as they explain here, that the minimum salary is $885,000. So whoever those 7 people are replacing saves us the difference between what we're paying this rookie and $885,000, right? Because it's not like there was a zero cost for that spot. There was a minimum of $885,000. So let's say, for example, our draft pick costs $900,000, and we use that player to replace someone who was at $885,000. So then we've actually spent $15,000 more dollars. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. In any event, that's where we are. That's where we are, 11.375. So what should we do? So the first thing I think we should do is make a trade. There are several people I want to trade, and ideally I'd package them together, but keep watching, you'll see. So the first person I would trade is Bobby O. We trade Bobby O, and the salary cap jumps up to $26.5 roughly million, right? Remember what the cap was before? The only, again, shout out to overthecap.com for this technology. The only thing I did differently at this point is trade Bobby O. And you see it shows you, if you trade Bobby O, what the dead cap is, what the savings are. That brings us up to $26.5 million. Trade Bobby O, he's past his prime. He is no longer Batman. He is at best Robin, and I think he may be getting worse than that. Trade Slayton. That brings the cap up to $36.4 million. Slayton's a decent player. There are teams where Slayton would be their wide receiver 3 for sure, maybe even 2. We are one of those teams, but I'd like to move on. So he's reasonably priced for a wide receiver 2 or 3, but we aren't that team. We aren't that close to winning where we can afford to pay him that much money to be roughly a wide receiver 2.5. So trade Slayton, that brings the cap, as you can see, up to, here's the salary cap column, in case you're not following me, up to $36.4 million. Trade Devin Singletary. That brings the cap up to $41.73 million. I'm working from the assumption that Cam Skattebo will be back to his production of earlier this year before he got hurt, and that Tyrone Tracy is a very solid second running back, because I think Cam's going to be the RB1. Maybe they're RB1A and 1B, but that's enough. We don't need Singletary. You'll see later I'm going to say we don't need Eric Gray. I'd love to bring Turbo Miller, but even if we just have a late day 3 running back pick, I think we can get rid of Singletary. He's a solid player. He's going to be a lot of teams' second best running back. He's our third best running back. We don't need to pay our third best running back this much money. Cut James Hudson, period, full stop. Now we're at $47.25 million. James Hudson should never play in the league again, certainly not for the Giants. Cut Jalen Hyatt, that gets us to $48.75 million. Same thing, gotta go. Cut Eric Gray, brings us up to just under $50 million. Does nothing for us, gotta go. Cut Corey Black, who is still on the books, brings us up to $51 million, gotta go. What would I do now with that $51 million? Here are the people I would keep. Daniel Bellinger, Casey Kreider, Jermaine Illuminor. And I made them all what I think would be reasonable offers that would entice them to sign with us. And then I added Leo Chenal as the one external free agent signing. I can explain to you later, I can do a deeper dive into what I offered each of them. But long story short, you can see that their cap hits for next year are $4.5 million for Daniel Bellinger, $10.5 million for Leo Chenal. Basically, I'll go back into that later. Basically, I gave them what I think are roughly market value for them. And that leaves us with $19 million in cap space. So what's the math? After all of those four signings, we would have roughly $19 million in cap space, but we'd have 38 players signed. We currently have 41 players signed. I cut and or traded 7 of them. That brought us down to 34. And then I just re-signed these 4. That brings us up to 38 players. The net of the rookie pool, again, shout out to overthecap.com for providing that, is $11.3 million roughly for the 7 players that we would be drafting, again, if the draft were today and we keep these draft slots. So you subtract $11.3 million from this $19 million, that leaves you with roughly $7.75 million, which would now give you 45 players signed. Up until week 1 of the regular season, you are charged with your top 51. 51 players count against your cap up until week 1. So with 45 players signed, we would need 6 more players. Again, the league minimum is $885,000. So if we had 6 more league minimum players, and we're going to have some league minimum players, that would be roughly another $5.3 million. So what does that leave us with? A little over $2 million, right? Closer to 2.5 million, but I'm going to say over $2 million, for our top 51. And that's without doing any renegotiations to any of the people that are already under long-term contracts, right? We could renegotiate Burns, for example, and free up some more money if we needed to. But without any of that, we'd have about $2.5 million. So that's what I think would be a solid plan moving forward. Again, I left a little cushion because we may wind up with the first overall pick, which would cost us a little bit more than the second overall pick. We may make some trades that may add more picks, etc. The people I'm suggesting that we trade, Devin Singletary and Bobby Okereke, etc., Darius Slayton, we don't know what we get back for them. So whatever we get back for them probably will cost us some money. So this is approximately $2 million, depending on how all those things play out. But I do think that this is a reasonable start. It is arithmetically doable, as you see. And that's what I'm suggesting to the new GM, or if God forbid, Joe Schoen is still here. So my final thoughts about this blueprint, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get rid of some of those guys. And you might say, well, why do I want to get rid of Bobby O? Why do I want to get rid of Darius Slayton? Why do I want to get rid of Devin Singletary? Because we are 3 and 2025, right? We're 3 in 2025 with them. We can be 3 in 2026 without them. They are decent players, solid players, good pros, but they aren't turning us into winners. But they might, like Tennessee, for example. Darius Slayton's probably would be their second best wide receiver. Bobby Okereke would be their second best inside linebacker. Devin Singletary would be their second best running back. Those teams would get better. And Tennessee has like $85 million in cap space, so they can afford them. So that's the team that I would suggest that we move those 3 players to. If we put those 3 players in a package, right? Bobby Okereke, Darius Slayton, Devin Singletary, send them to Tennessee. Maybe we get their 3rd round pick. Maybe we throw in our 5th round pick and turn it into a 2nd round pick. I would love that. To me, that's a win-win. They'd get better at 3 positions. That's not going to take them over the top, making Super Bowl contenders, but they get better at 3 positions for a 2nd round pick, but they also get a 5th round pick back. that might be something they would consider as they are building around that new quarterback. In any event, that's what I think. But I'd love to know what you think. So as always, Play from Brooklyn. Football with the fellas. It is all about Big Blue. Like, share, comment, subscribe. This is where you find us.
Big shout out to El Marquis Productions, the talent behind the music and production here at Football with the Fellas. It's all about Big Blue. Their beats bring energy and excitement to every episode. El Marquis' skills in mixing, mastering, and creating top quality sound make the podcast come alive each week. For your own projects, check out elmarquisproductions.com and take your sound to the next level.